It's very easy to confuse Docker containers and Docker images, although they are very different. Understanding these differences enable you to master the Docker ecosystem and later on go beyond that, for example, to understand Kubernetes concepts. So let's look into these differences. First of all, Docker images. To see Docker images, just run the Docker images command. Think of Docker images as templates. These templates are later on used to create Docker containers. Docker images are stored in registries. There are public registries out there, and there are also private registries. For example, registries which are only available in your organization. Another thing to keep in mind is that Docker images are built from Docker files. A Docker file has a set of commands, and based on that set of commands, a new Docker image can be built. Let's have a look. This is the public Docker Hub. You can see here various Docker images. Let's get one of these Docker images and play around a bit. For example, the Alpine Docker image is a very small one. Let's check which Docker images are already available. To do this, run Docker images. Use sudo if the Docker user doesn't have enough rights. And notice that no images are available. Now let's pull the Alpine Docker image. And there it is. Now if we run again Docker images, we can see that this image is available. Perfect. Now regarding Docker containers, we need to run Docker PS. Preferably use the --all flag to see all containers, including ones that were exited. Think of Docker containers as instances of an image, and Docker containers run on a machine. Look at the similarity. Docker PS is from process, so it's sort of a process, but for Docker. And you can also think of a Docker container as a mini machine, a sort of a special virtual machine. Let's see that in action. Let's run the Docker PS --all. There is no container yet. Then let's run a new container starting from the Alpine image. -it to get an interactive terminal. The Alpine image, and the command is sh. All right, and we get this separate prompt where we can run some commands into this quote-unquote mini machine. Exiting this Docker container with Ctrl-D. And now we can see this container. It has its own ID. It even got a boring name. And it exited a few seconds ago. All right, let's summarize the differences between images and containers. First of all, remember the commands. Docker images to get, well, images, and PS to get containers, or you can think of them as processes on that machine. Remember the --all to get all of them. So Docker images are templates stored in registries and built from Docker files. Similarly, containers are created from Docker images on some machine, and they are like their own mini machine. As you understand now the differences between containers and images, remember to practice these commands so that you can immediately know how to check which containers run on a machine and which images are available on that machine.